You ever hear that phrase that says, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it? Woo! Testify. I got it tonight. Not 5 minutes after I made that last video, the two people came in as this guy and his mama. I think it was his mama. I don't know. He was in his like 50s or so, and she had to be like in her 80s, you know. And she seemed real sweet-natured, really quiet. She comes in and she's picking up different things. She goes, "Oh well, honey, now this looks good, doesn't it?" You know, little bitty things, shrinking. You know how they do. And you could tell by looking at him that he was not thrilled to be here. You know, and she looked like, you know, she was really tired. Which I don't think he was helping her much on that. Really tired or really old. I get the two confused sometimes. But so she's picking up different things. She's going, "Oh, honey, now this looks good." And he's got this sort of nasally voice, and he's like, "Now, Mama, you don't need to be eating that because that's $18.99 a pound. It's too expensive. You don't have the money for that, and you don't have the money for that, and it's not good for you, your cholesterol and things. You should not be eating it." And so, you know, and so she'd put it down, and then she'd pick something else up, and he'd say, "Now, Mama, you put that back. You shouldn't be having that. Not with your health the way it is. Not in your condition. Women of your age should not be spending that kind of money and eating that kind of food." And I got to thinking about it for a little bit. A woman of her age, you know, especially if she's in poor health, I personally would say, "Honey, here's the good stuff. Here's the expensive stuff. How much longer does he think she's got? I mean, come on." Poor little thing, she was shaky, you know, and she looked like she was tired of hanging out with him. And everything she picked up, I couldn't believe it. Finally, she selected a few things, and brought him up to the counter and was ready to pay for them, and he was nagging her the whole time about them, and he was just yip, 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 yip. Kind of like a little toy poodle, which is appropriate, too, because he kind of had that ramp hair going on. You know, kind of like goes, you know, parted over here, and it kind of goes up like and does that. Ooh. Well, first of all, who has got the time to seal every hair into place like that? And who can afford all that hair product? Whoever it is, I need to meet him. Be their friend. Yeah. But, she came up and she was trying to buy stuff. And he was nagging her the whole time, going, "You shouldn't be eating that, Mama. Think of your cholesterol." You know. And so, and I hope I end up like this old lady. No, I don't. I hope I don't ever end up old. But if I have to, I hope I end up like this lady. Because, you know, and his voice was getting on my nerve. I only had one left, and he was on it. Just his voice. Well, no, his attitude too. But he held the door open for her. At least he did that. And he kept going, and finally, when he took a breath, she slipped in a phrase, and she said, "Honey, I'm gonna miss you when you're gone." And I thought, I hope she shoots him. That's it. Bye.